taken over 7 hours, but the Phillies get the sweep of the Nationals. And Ricky, you go back 13-2 this season against the Nats as we welcome you here to Phillies Postgame Live, proudly brought to you by Cure Auto Insurance. Amy Fiddle, Ricky Vitalico, and they've owned this team. Going back to last season, 21 of their last 23 that they've won, and at home, now 9-1 against the Nats.
Well, I will say, you look at the Nats, I mean, their starting rotation is hideous,
rough,
to say the least. It's not a very good starting rotation. Juan Soto is no longer with that team, and the Phillies chomped on them. I mean, let's be honest, it's more like a AAA team than it is a big league team at this given point. And the one good thing about what the Phillies did, we've seen it in years past where they've been ruined by a team like this in the Marlins.
Absolutely.
I mean, they couldn't beat the Marlins for a long period of time. You know what? You take the wins that you can get, and if it happens to be against the Nationals, then so be it. You beat them, beat the pulp out of them. Who cares? That's the way I look at it.
3.5 hour plus rain delay. Even with that.
Yeah, this game started, by the way, over 7 hours ago.
It feels like it started yesterday when you think about I mean, Aaron Nola started.
He started.
It seems like that was yesterday.
Why don't we just start there? Because Aaron Nola goes 2 innings in this game. That first inning, he looked way off. I don't know if it was because of the weather. I don't know if it was because of the dreariness in the stadium. But he looked very uncomfortable in his first inning when he was out there. I believe he threw 27 pitches in that first inning. So we were in for a long day anyways. I know a lot of people will look at this and say, wow, that was a really long game. Yeah, it was a long game, because it was probably 3.5, almost 4 hours without the delay put into it.
Exactly. When you
I
think
mean,
about
so
it.
it was. I mean, it got off to a rough start. They had played 2 innings in an hour.
It was basically 3.5 hours game and then 3.5 hour rain delay. Thereabouts.
I mean, it was one of those things where it was going to be a grinder as it was. And when you look at the Phillies in general, you got a couple big home runs from some big guys this time. It wasn't the bottom of the order that had to bail you out. So that's always nice on top of it.
Oh, we'll talk a little bit more about some of those home runs, but we got to check in with our Chasing October. The Phillies, of course, trying to end that 10-year drought for the postseason. As we look at the wild card race, now with the win, they go a game and a half up on the Padres. The Braves lost, but obviously I don't think that's the race we're really working about. The Padres lost to the Dodgers, and they are 2 clear of the Brewers, who I believe did win, but they have a tiebreaker against the Padres and the Brewers.
They're 3.5 clear of the Brewers at this point, which is basically 4.
3.5. I see what you're saying.
Which is basically 4 because of the
1.5.
Yeah, because of the tiebreaker. It's plus
almost
that extra half game.
Like,
so yeah,
like 4 up. I mean, this is exactly where you want to be. You're looking at 18, magic number 18. You know, you're looking at what, 22 games to go in this range?
Yeah, I think you're pretty safe. I think you're getting into that area where everything seems to be a little bit more clear to everybody. And when you look at what's going on right now, you had a little bit of a rough patch last week. All of a sudden, you're kind of getting everything together. You're moving in the right direction with a 5-1 homestand. And you look at where the Brewers are and what the Padres are doing. They're starting to crumble a little bit, which puts you in the driver's seat, which is where you want to be.
Exactly. You mentioned it. Some big guys hitting that bottom of the order. They really held this ship upright.
Yep.
Obviously, Kyle Schwarber was still contributing. Obviously, JT Realmuto came on, but you really needed those extra contributions.
Well, I still think, when I look back on the season, I think everything really turned when Alec Boehm and Vierling went deep against Hader up in Milwaukee.
Yep.
And quite frankly, that not only turned the Phillies around, but that destroyed Hader's season.
Yeah.
He's been awful ever since.
And that was a big, obviously, the series, they needed to win those games against Milwaukee, because if it does come down, they own the tiebreaker against both Milwaukee and the Padres. So things like that, I mean, it is such a long season, but you forget the little nuances of wins like that. Cardinal series, different things.
Well, little things help you along the way. And for this team, it was a lot of unsung heroes. And when we look back, I think that's one thing we're going to remember is that, okay, well, Harper went down. What happened during that time period? Well, everybody stood up. A lot of guys at the bottom of the lineup took the bull by the horns and went in the right direction. That's what you need to be a championship caliber team, and this is what they've had. We've heard Rhys Hoskins in the pregame show talk a little bit about depth. Yes, they have depth. They're deeper than they have been in years past. And they actually have a bullpen this year, which didn't hurt the situation.
Yeah, that's been good. And it was good to see the bullpen. Were really taxed. We talked about that earlier. How tough is it? That's a full-length game.
My biggest issue was starting. What the Phillies should have done is started this game at 7 o'clock. Just play a 7 or a 6 o'clock game.
Okay.
I think it would have been a lot easier. I think you would have saved yourself, because now you just went through your bullpen again. That doesn't make things easier on the other side. Now, as a player, you go in, you're sitting in a clubhouse. I think, thank goodness it was a Saturday or a Sunday for them.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it was a Sunday, but thank goodness for them, because at least there was something to do. You go back, take your mind off the game, watch football all afternoon. If you're Aaron Nola, you probably sit back a little yingling after you were done. You knew you were done. I mean, that's what bothered me the most, is that Nola didn't get an opportunity to actually pitch.
Yeah, that's something to watch for and see if it carries over. They are heading to Miami tonight with that off day tomorrow. Let's check in with Rob Thomson after his team sweep of the Nats.
What did you hear beforehand?
Really didn't hear anything that, it was all kind of up in the air, We weren't sure whether we were going to get delayed. One of the reports was that, it was going to rain. We knew it was going to rain, but it wasn't going to be heavy enough. But it got too heavy. They had to pull everybody. So, but it worked out. Sanchi gave us 3 innings, and looked a little rusty at the start, but I think that's understandable. He's had 8 or 9 days off. But the rest of the bullpen, I thought, threw the ball well.
You got Anthony in there right away, for an inning. How do you think he?
I thought he was good. I mean, velocity was good. He got behind in the count, but he came right back, especially the first 2 hitters. But I thought he looked good. He looked normal.
What do you think? Obviously, Nola's outing was really short, but what did you think of him?
I thought he did a good job in the first inning, getting out of that first and third and nobody out, if you remember. It's a long time ago. But, yeah, he looked fine to me, And during the first part of the delay, we went down in the cages, and every 15 minutes he was simulating an inning and getting some work in. And, but it got to the point where it was just too long. We had to go.
And you guys just keep him on turn, you won't?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Looks like Rhys is locking back in.
Yeah, he had a big day, The 3-run opposite field homer, and then the sac fly was big, and Bohm's home run was huge. I thought we played well.
Is it another sign of this team's sort of resiliency? I mean, a 3-hour delay, down 4-1,
Yeah.
and still come back. And these are the games that good teams kind of look back on at the end of the season and say, that was a special.
Yeah, it was a huge win, especially when we got down. And just kept battling and came back. And then they took the lead again, and we came back, and then we took over. So just an all-around great effort from everybody.
Were you encouraged by Robertson's?
Yeah, he looked a lot crisper tonight. I didn't see the velocities. I don't know where it was at, but the breaking ball and the cutter looked crisper, and hopefully those 2 days off were a lot of help for him.
What did you do during the delay?
Well, I should say that I was working, but I was watching football. Just to be honest.
Yeah. So LA and Murph up there asked me, like, how do you stay locked in 3.5 hours? Short answer is you don't. It's hard. Like, there's a little bit, to start of, okay, it's light. Well, you stay locked in, you stay loose. But after a while, it looked like the rain was going to stay. We got to be Eagles football fans for today, which was pretty cool, which we don't get to do on Sundays during the year. But after that, it's talk about some of the pitchers we might face coming in out of their bullpen. Definitely get physically loose. Took us a few innings once we got out there, but it was nice to see us put some at-bats together, start to get in rhythm on the mound, and Bummer had a big swing of the bat.
When you enjoy a game like this one, and you came out on top, does it make it even sweeter because you did enjoy it?
Yeah, of course. It's also nice to finish a sweep at home here. It's a 5-1 homestand. We got these weeks. We have 6 days a week, and then an off day, and then six at home, an off day, and then so we can kind of separate the rest of the year into those weeks. Pretty good 5-1 at home this week. We'll look to kind of carry some momentum on Tuesday in Miami.
You talked about Alec with the big hit, but you had nice opposite field home run, big sac fly. Do you feel like, and then the home run on Friday, you'd be kind of doing one of your little heat ups?
I'm in. Yeah, obviously the timing would be great. It's a sprint. We got 22 22 left.
22 left. Yeah.
Shoot, what more could you ask for, right? As a competitor, obviously we'd like to be in, but clinched already. But this is going to be as competitive as it gets, and I know the whole group in here is pretty excited.
You guys got to pretty much every reliever they brought in, and then obviously coming back to 2 different times. Was there a sense in the dugout that you were going to be able to pull this one out even after falling behind quickly?
Definitely. We knew that we've been getting a lot of guys on base, and if you continue to do that, traffic on the bases, stressful pitches for the other guys, eventually the big hit is going to come, and today, you know, we got a couple big hits. They seem to come in bunches. But yeah, there's no panic in the dugout. So we've come back too many times late. We've scored a lot of runs too many times late to not have confidence in the rest of us that it's bound to happen again.
Was there a lot of talk about the playoffs amongst the guys, scoreboard watching, or what you have to do? Or anything?
No, we know it's there, right? Like we can feel it. But we need to win games. We got to win as many games as we can before we get there, and that starts on Tuesday.
Fantasy squad?
Haven't checked it. I was beating Stoddard, so we'll see. I liked how they were going so far, but I had some guys in the afternoon slate, so hopefully they came through for me.
Just how excited I was this next stretch to be in this late in the year, and to have this opportunity present itself to you guys. Just how excited is this for you?
Yeah, this is what we play for, right? Playoff baseball. So, that's all that we need to say, I think.
It's nice that he's beating Bryson Stott in
Sure.
his fantasy football. All right, let's go to our stargazing, brought to you by Deborah Heart and Lung Center. We were looking at Kyle Schwarber. He was 1 for 4 today with a run scored. And obviously now the Phillies head on the road. They've got a couple down in Miami and then a couple in Atlanta. First up, it is the Marlins, Ricky.
Yeah, I mean, it's a team that you've proven you could beat this year for the first time in a long period of time. So it's nice to go down there. Don't fall asleep. Don't lull yourself to sleep down there in the dungeon that is that stadium down there. Just be
no
ready.
energy in that
Just
stadium.
be ready to play. It's always tough to play in a stadium where there's not a lot of people, although they did well enough tonight.
There you go. There you
So how's
go.
that?
Hats off to obviously Ricky and everybody for keeping focused here, but to the crew that was out at the ball game, God love you fans. That's impressive. All right.